So I was sitting in the Los Angeles airport a couple weeks ago, and I got this, waiting to catch a flight home, and I got this email that said, it's time to commit to what you're going to talk about at TEDx. And frankly, to that point, I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. I knew I had a lot to say, but I hadn't narrowed down exactly what that was going to be. And my co-founder happened to be sitting with me, and he said, "Well, what's the TEDx about?" And I said, "Well, my understanding is it's essentially about how to get an idea and not just leave it at the idea stage and get it to reality and become a tangible product or service." And he immediately blurted out, "Ideas don't mean squat." And this is actually something that we talk about quite a lot in our company, and so that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, while I believe that ideas don't mean squat by themselves, you obviously have to start somewhere. And so I wanted to dig in a little bit and find out, where do ideas come from? I mean, how do we generate ideas? And more importantly, how do we get good ideas? And what I came across was this really interesting nugget from the National Science Foundation that says, humans have on average 50,000 thoughts per day, which is, eye-opening. But what was really interesting was the fact that 95% of those thoughts are recycled every day, and they're largely based on our mindset and our beliefs. And so, essentially how it works is you have thoughts that lead you to take actions, and then based on those actions, you get certain results, and then, based on those results, you cement kind of beliefs that stick with you, and then you start the cycle all over again. And so, I wanted to give an example. This is Chuck. And, Chuck spends all day running in circles trying to catch his tail. Chuck thinks this is a really good idea. This is his thought. And it dominates his thought until one day, his thoughts, until one day he actually catches it and he gets it and he bites it and it hurts. And Chuck, had the thought of, this seems like a really good idea. So he took the action to run in circles until he finally got it and he bit it. And then he got the result, and the result wasn't great. It hurt. And so Chuck cemented the belief that, in his own mind, that maybe there's a better way. So Chuck decided to try something new. And what Chuck did was he decided, I still think the tail's a good idea, but let's try somebody else's tail. And so he did that, and Chuck got a much better result. And so he cemented that, kind of idea and belief in his mindset. And as Chuck kind of slowly became a mindset master, he eventually ends up in doggy heaven, which is basically an all-you-can-eat tail buffet, at the local dog park. And it was, it's just based on the evolution of his mindset. And so the point here is get out of your comfort zone. Try new things, seek new experiences, get out of your comfort zone, because the best ideas come from experiences. And so the more experiences you can have, the better your ideas are going to be. I'll give you a perfect example. I've got a buddy, we call him Big Wave Dave. He had his first child a couple years ago. And Big Wave Dave experienced what a lot of us fathers experience when we had our first child, and realized in the first few months of the infancy that the father's maybe a little less important to the child and has a little harder time soothing the baby when they're upset or crying or whatever. And that was really frustrating to my friend. And so he actually did something about it. He noticed that when the baby, his son, was in one of those vibrating chairs, that it immediately soothed him. But that was no good, because you're not really interacting with your child when the baby's in this vibrating chair. And so he created this glove that vibrated in kind of a similar manner so he could hold his son and it would soothe him. And he actually created a prototype, and it worked. I've seen it. And the takeaway here is he never would have felt that pain and done anything about it or known to do anything about it unless he had the experience of being a dad. And so challenge yourself. Take a new job, travel the world, pick up a new hobby, do different things to generate different ideas. So ideas are kind of the easy part, especially as you experience new things, but you've got to be in the right mindset to move forward. And so, I love this quote. If you have a mindset that limits your potential, then you're likely going to accept limited results in your life. And, it's so true. One of the things that Big Wave Dave ran into was he took the step of creating an actual prototype, which is further than most people take it, but it sat on his shelf in his closet for the last 2 years, and most likely it's never going to see the light of day because Big Wave Dave realized he wasn't in the right mindset to actually do something with it. And for me, taking an idea and getting it, on the store shelves or creating an actual service, and it is all about having the right mindset. And for me, that is, being able to make decisions with 50% of the information, being brave enough to kind of stand in the way of adversity, really challenging yourself to, push for a better solution, challenge the status quo, all those things. And most importantly is kind of having the passion to see it through. So, that's why the best ideas come from personal experiences, because when you feel that personal pain, you're going to be more passionate about solving that problem and bringing that solution to market. And when things get tough, and they will get tough, it's that passion that helps you push through and see it through, frankly. So if ideas, with 50,000 thoughts a day, and ideas come from, experiences, and we're always experiencing new things, and you are in the right mindset, and you do have the mindset, I can go do this, and nothing's going to stop me, and this is my time, then why don't people take the next step? And I think it's pretty simple. There's too much risk. There is, always going to be a reason that to not do something. There's a built-in excuse in everything, and I think that's what people fall back on a lot of times. I've got this great idea, and I know it'll be super successful, but it's going to take me way too much time. I don't have the money. Way too much work. I've already got a full-time job, and I've got a newborn, and what will people think of me? What if I fail? There's an endless amount of reasons not to move forward with something. So here's a good example of what you do when you run up against that. So for me, if the biggest obstacle to taking an idea and making something tangible, getting a product to market, creating a service that people are paying you for, et cetera, is the risk, well, then the obvious solution is to de-risk the opportunity to the point where you feel comfortable going all in and making it happen. And so I put this example up here. These two guys are essentially doing the same thing. They're both rock climbing. The guy on the left is perfectly fine free climbing in this awful Speedo with sweet tan lines, and he's fine with that. He didn't need to do anything else to take the risk to climb this rock. This guy on the right kind of took the opposite approach. He was maybe a little more cautious, and so to de-risk the opportunity to do the exact same thing, he got a harness, and he got a rope, and he got a climbing helmet, and he's even got sunglasses because he's worried about the sun in his eyes, and he's fully clothed, thank God, and so they're essentially doing the same thing, but they did it two different ways, and it's different for everybody. So de-risk the opportunity. So easy to talk about, maybe harder to do. What do you mean de-risk the opportunity? I mean, that's a neat slide you put up there, but what do you do about it? What tangible steps can you take? And I think that the answer is pretty simple. Just start. Just start. So you've got the idea, you've got the mindset, just start drilling down. Really challenge yourself. What else is out there? What's currently solving the problem that you're attacking? Why is your solution better? Why have those competitors been successful? Why have they failed? You can even start getting into, do people like your idea? Will they pay for your idea? Will they buy it for somebody else? I mean, all these things that you can do that don't cost you money and don't take a lot of time, but really help you drill down and help your idea become a reality. And, the best part is there's no experience needed. My company right now is building wearable technology, and we've got one product in market, one on the way, and neither one of us, myself or my co-founder, have any experience building hardware. We've never worked for a company that does that. Neither one of us are engineers, and we're 2 years into this, and we're doing pretty well. We're doing it without having experience. We're creating the experience ourselves, and you can do that too. So I put this up here because one of the ways we started was we created a prototype, and I know it's kind of fuzzy, but the picture on the left is two AAA batteries wrapped in black duct tape, and that was our first prototype that we started showing people and saying, this will give you an idea of what we're going to build, and that's it. And obviously that didn't cost us a lot of money, and it didn't take a lot of time, but it was a great way for people to kind of get a better feel for where we were going. The middle one is our second prototype, which is black duct tape around some styrofoam, once we got the dimensions of what we thought this thing was going to be. And then the right is actually the finished product, and it doesn't really do it justice, but you can see, the transition, but that's where we started, so just start. And keep going. This is me in the blue shirt running my first marathon in 2010. This is the Kansas City Marathon, and at the time, running 26.2 miles seems really daunting and intimidating, and so you seek advice from experienced marathoners, and the first thing they'll tell you, and the primary advice they'll give you is, look, that's a long ways. This is your first time. Over the course of that 26.2 miles, you're going to hit the wall, and the wall is essentially where your brain and your body are telling you, you cannot go any further. It is impossible. This is ridiculous. Don't do this anymore. And they said, when you reach that point, all you have to do is focus on one thing. And, what's that? Tell me. And that is put one foot in front of the other, and the rest will take care of itself. And I think that's so applicable to, taking an idea and creating, an innovation or making it a reality. Like, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and good things will happen. So, a couple examples of ways to keep going. Write a business plan. Business plans, I'm certainly no huge fan of writing them. They're painful, and they're long, and they're tedious, and you have to revise them. And most of the time, the people that ask for them don't even end up reading them. But what business plans do is it really forces you to think through how you're going to go execute on your idea. And it helps you come up with a plan and makes you think about things maybe you hadn't before. And so write a business plan. That's something you can do. The second thing is go start talking to people. Start sharing your idea. I mean, once you put enough thought into it and you've got it to a place where you're comfortable, like, this is a good idea and I think this can work, go start sharing it with people. And the best part about sharing it with people is not only do you get feedback from that person, but that person 9 times out of 10 says, well, I love this wearable technology idea. It seems like a great idea, but I don't know anything about this. But I know this guy who used to work at this company, and they did product X that was kind of similar, and he may be a really good resource for you, so I'd love to introduce you. And so you expand your network, which is great. And then the last thing that kind of starting to publicly talk about your idea, what it does is it holds you accountable. Because the next time you're in that coffee shop that you had that original meeting with the guy that you shared your idea about, you're going to bump into him 2 weeks in that same coffee shop. And the first thing out of his mouth is going to be, hey, good to see you. How's the company going? And it's gonna hold you accountable. And hopefully you're at the point you could say, I've done this, and this since we met, and I've got this stuff going on, and it's great. And self-accountability is great. So, kind of the last thought I have is the snowball effect. So, it's the idea that this snowflake of an idea, gets some momentum and starts, building into a snowball, which eventually, rolls down the hill into this giant avalanche of activity. And that's how it happens. That's how ideas go from, just an idea on paper to an actual product on a shelf or a service or whatever it may be. This is how it happens. I'll give you one personal example of where, action created the opportunity and created the momentum for where I'm at today. I was in the family business as a financial advisor a few years ago, and it came time for me to take over the business. And I realized that I wasn't going to be happy doing this the next 30 years of my life, so I left. And that was a big decision for me. But what happened was I ended up in this startup with no technology experience, no media experience, and I was running operations. I'd never done that before, and I was making about half the money I was before. But it opened my eyes to the possibilities of creating your own innovation, creating your own company, and I wouldn't be standing here today if I didn't take that risk and have that action that created that opportunity. So, in closing, ideas are plentiful. To get better ideas, go seek new experiences, challenge yourself. And then, get in the right mindset. And once you're in the right mindset, great things will happen. The the opportunities are endless, and if you're scared to jump in, just de-risk the opportunity. And that's different for everybody, but you can do it in taking baby steps. And all you have to do is focus on putting one foot in front of the other, and eventually you reach the finish line. So I'll leave you with one final thought. Today, right here in this room, there's odds are there's one or two people that are sitting on multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar ideas. The question is, what are they going to do about that? Thank you.